Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today will be local nursery plant shopping at Green Acres Nursery and Supply in Melissa, Texas. As always, plant foldies, please make sure you are hitting that like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. That is a way to get in direct contact with me. Also, subscribe to this channel with the notification bell on if you like daily 1-hour plant shopping videos that feature big box stores or local plant nurseries in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This is where I am based at, and today it is a beautiful morning, and I was able to go ahead and this awesome nursery. So there are actually several Green Acres nurseries. They have them in California and also in Irving, Texas, but this was a recently opened nursery out in Melissa, Texas, which is actually north of Dallas. But anyways, we're gonna see what this all looks like right here. As you can see, Green Acres Nursery and Supply has several different supplies for both just the outdoor sections, indoor gardening. They've got pretty much everything, and I actually get a lot of my plant supplies over here. I love how it's super neat and organized. The staff is super friendly and helpful. And whenever it goes to time for me to actually buy things that will kind of mix up my plants, my plant soil, I can find things like this huge bag of perlite. And when you talk about making your soils fast draining, perlite is one soil amendment I would recommend. You can see that they have a specific African violet soil mix. They've got orchid bark here. And they even have like a succulent cactus mix. So if you're looking for a pre-made soil that actually drains and is good for cactus, that would be something I would recommend. They also have a succulent mix. They even have one for cuttings that are just recently propagated. Also, this is why I came here, is I wanted to go buy some charcoal. So I like to mix bits of charcoal into my Aroid or houseplant mix because it keeps the soil clean. And I also like to use perlite as well as orchid bark. But as you can see here, there aren't as many people shopping at the moment. I tend to go super early in the morning. Therefore, there's not a lot of people running around. But you can see plant foldies. There's just so many supplies here, and I love the fact that all of the items are super organized. They're always full. They have several planters, for instance, to choose from for the indoor and outdoor garden. So right here, we're gonna walk by. This is the indoor pottery area where you can see several types of planters. Like, I've always liked this planter texture. Just the shape of it is really pretty. And then you can just see there's just rows and rows of beautiful planters with different colors, different glazes. I've talked about it in all of my other plant shopping videos, but I prefer the more simplistic neutral colors. So when you look at this right here, these are some of the planters I would totally use for my plants. Like, I love this pink one right here, and you can see how neat and clean the lines are. It also has a drainage hose. Now these are for $8, and you can see right here they've got a pale light blue color as well. You know, when it comes to these neutral pastel colors, they tend to work for any space. They're not jarring, and you can see over here this one is a nice gray color. It does have some drainage holes, but it's interesting how they have the bottom saucer attached to the planter. But as you can see, plant foldies, many planters to choose from. We also have planters right over here. Let's see what else they have. They have some of the glazed ones, but we're going to go ahead and check out the house plants. This is really the point of this video today, is really just to explore in detail some of the plants that Green Acres Nursery in Melissa, Texas carry currently. We are entering paradise, and I love going to this nursery because there is so many different types of plants. You know, when they first opened up, they just had not as many plants, but as you can see, they've been able to fill up this nursery. I really have to commend Parker, who runs this nursery himself, in terms of just how many plants have been sourced out. What I do like about Green Acres Nursery is you can see different types of plants, and their plant pricing is really cost effective. What's exciting for me also is the fact that they also carry rare and uncommon plants for a pretty good price. They've really upped the level of rare plants they have, and we're going to take a look at that in just a bit. But what is super cool is Ficus shivriana in a 10-inch planter. So that is actually something I really haven't seen. That one is only for $60.50. Beautiful Ficus shivriana. So, you know, with Ficus shivriana, that is another ficus plant that takes a little bit longer to grow. So it's really interesting that they have one at that size. This one is a Ficus elastica taniki, another beautiful rubber tree plant here. And with all of these ficus plants, again, and this one is only for $32.50. What's cool about these Ficus elastica is they have many different varieties at Green Acres. I would say if anybody lives out in the North Dallas area, specifically in the Frisco, McKinney, Prosper, Salina, just all of those northern suburbs for Dallas, I would highly recommend going to Green Acres because you can see they've got large foliage plants. So like this Ficus altissima, for instance, is a really nice price. Let's go see how much it is. It is only for $22.50, the smaller varieties. And then they also have the tree forms. What's super cool about the Ficus elastica is the fact that these plants, when they're in their tropical environment, such as the Philippines, they become a huge, like 20 to 30 foot tree. Notice how the variegation is more prominent, more yellow. Now that variegation is really influenced by the amount of light this particular ficus receives. So if you're actually growing it outdoors in full sun, you'll see that the variegation is going to be even more prominent. Over here, we have a Ficus lyrata, and the thing about Ficus lyrata, again, is that fiddle fig leaf tree, it's beautiful, but it does need quite a bit of light. And then what I love about this is, look at how massive this Monstera deliciosa is. That is huge. And this Monstera deliciosa, if you want one that's instant gratification, that's already maturing, this one, I believe, is only for $95. If I actually had the space, is what I'm trying to say, for this type of Monstera deliciosa size, I would totally buy it. And that's the thing I love about Green Acres, is the fact that they have large plants, cost-effective pricing, and then plant foliage. Look at how beautiful this live living wall is. So they've got different types of trailing plants here, an assortment of Philodendron, Scindapsus, Epipremnum aureum, Epipremnum pinnatum, Tradescantia, lemon lime, Philodendron. They just have all sorts of plants. And I remember when they had their grand opening, this one was actually just being built, but you can see over time the plants have actually started to trail down. I really like that a lot. Look at that Syngonium, for instance, right over here. I would love to be able to have a living wall in my current home. I think it would be such a beautiful installation. So, you know, those are things that give me some inspiration. So although I do a lot of big box store plant shopping videos, what's important to me is actually supporting local businesses like Green Acres, showing, you know, local plant foldies. And for those that are new to the channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies, different alternatives and options to go plant shopping. Like right here, Philodendron Moonlight, and I believe this is the final Philodendron Moonlight in this size. It's only $50. And if I hadn't spent all that money already on some of the plants that I got this week, I would totally buy that, because look at how beautiful that is. Beautiful yellow foliage, and it's instant gratification. You can get a large plant like that and not have to worry about it. I may actually come back on Friday or Saturday to pick that up if it's still available. With my luck though, plant foldies is probably going to get sold just because it is such a beautiful plant. And the reason why I also like to go to Green Acres is it's just really nice to see the progression of this gorgeous nursery. Not only does Green Acres obviously feature a lot of these indoor tropical plants, they have a very extensive line for outdoor gardening. That is a place that I would highly recommend buying azaleas, Japanese maples, and all sorts of ornamental shrubs. They have nice annuals, and they just have a lot of plants. But you can go here and get a lot of your indoor and outdoor gardening supplies. They have an array of different types of soils, fertilizers, planters, pest control, you name it, they have it. And speaking of have it, they have a lot of these rare and uncommon plants. So they recently had a plant exhibition event this past weekend, which unfortunately I wasn't able to attend, but they had a bunch of rare plants. You can see right here, $33.50. This is a really good price for a Philodendron heteroraceum variegated form. Beautiful plant in the fact that it's already attached to a moss pole, and you can see right here, this is a Syngonium milk confetti, $62.50. Beautiful planter. It's already planted in, and look at that. It is already trailing up a moss pole. And that's the thing about certain plants, even Syngoniums, for instance, they like to climb for the most part. And as they climb, their leaves actually mature and change shapes. Now for the Philodendron heteroraceum, they just tend to get a little bit larger. And over here is a beautiful Monstera celtipicana. Again, another beautiful Monstera plant. Now, most people will grow this in a trailing like hanging basket, but really the natural form or the natural growth habit of Monstera celtipicana is to grow up trees, grow up on a wall or something, and it actually attaches its aerial roots, which gives the the plant more nutrients, which in turn gives the leaves a larger shape. They actually mature and start to fenestrate. Like you can see, there is a little bit of a hole right over here. Really like that a lot. And I am excited because I may end up picking up a rare plant. I was told by Parker that they still had quite a bit of rare plants available. You can see they've got some ferns here. I do love the fact that they have Philodendron heteroraceum variegated form already on a pole. The thing about this is, with this particular Philodendron heteroraceum or heart leaf shape, is the fact that they need a little bit more light. It's not as stable in variegation. Now here's a beautiful Alocasia. This is an Alocasia variegated Frydek. This one is for $150 in a 5-inch planter. Now here's the thing, some people might find that price a little bit pricey, but variegated Alocasia are basically the trending plant of 2024. Everybody wants to collect variegated Alocasias. I will say Alocasias for the most part are more of the more advanced level plant lover, somebody who grows plants. So I wouldn't highly recommend Alocasias in a collection. I was told though that these variegated Alocasia, I consider them investment plants at the current state, because if you do buy it for like $150, know that if you're able to keep that alive, it will actually create corms or little babies that you can separate from the mother plant, and maybe you can trade them or sell them off so you can actually get a return of investment. Now, don't quote me on that. It's not always going to be the case, but I have seen Alocasias reproduce fairly quickly. Now, I'm just going to keep panning around here, and as you can see, plant foldies, this nursery has gotten super full. The Irving, Texas Green Acres, I need to go visit Tanya and the team over there. They have some awesome plants as well. But you can see here, Philodendron Red Moon, $140. And, it's a plant that I would love to have. I love philodendrons. I think that I am going to start getting a little bit more philodendrons, because for the most part, they're not as fussy unless it's the not the variegated, the more like fuzzy forms like Philodendron gloriosum. But look at how beautiful that variegation is. You're literally paying for that one leaf with that red variegation. Again, $140. This is another Philodendron Red Moon that you typically do not see often at most local nurseries. And then here is a Anthurium clavinarium, beautiful Anthurium. And here's the thing, I got my Anthurium from Green Spaces ID. I imported it from Indonesia, and it came in really well. And I will be growing my Anthurium in leca. I don't have any ponds, so for now, as far as hydroponics, I'm going to go ahead and just try leca. I've heard that Anthuriums and Alocasia do well in more of a semi-hydro growing medium. Like over here is an Alocasia Yucatan mint. So it's like a variegated Alocasia Yucatan mint. What I like about the Yucatan Alocasia is it does have that silver like shiny foliage. And then I also like the stems of the leaves. I mean the stems in general, they look really nice. Actually, that minty look almost reminds me of like a Caladian leaf. It's kind of interesting, but this is another uncommon plant, or an uncommon Alocasia. This is for $70. So For me, plant foldies, if anybody wants to go in and like buy one of these Alocasias, maybe we can share some corms or some babies. I know that there are a couple of plant foldies that I will be sharing cuttings with and just plants. We've already discussed that, and that's the thing, plant foldies. I'm hoping to create a Facebook account for the Grow Folds community. That way we can kind of let each other know what plants we have available. You know, we talk about saving money and being plant budget friendly. That's another way to do it. And also just shopping at Green Acres Nursery. I would recommend going to the Melissa, Texas one if you live in North Dallas. Now, if you're further down Dallas, going to the Irving one. Both locations are awesome. And it's just super exciting to see that the Melissa location, the one I'm featuring today, has gotten some really cool plants. Now, over here, you saw that Monstera Thai Constellation. And then we also have a Philodendron Florida Beauty. Here's the thing about Philodendron Florida Beauty, and let's see how much this is. $32.75. That's not bad. I will say Philodendron Florida Beauty is a beautiful plant. This one actually has some really minty variegation. There are times where I've seen people selling Philodendron Florida Beauty. The thing about it is you really need to provide it with quite a bit of bright light in order for it to keep that minty, ghostly look. Otherwise, it could potentially revert to green, and it'll just end up being a Florida green. Now over here is a Philodendron Bernardopazii. I think that's how you pronounce it. $47.50, and this is actually a philodendron I really haven't heard of. I do like the narrow leaves, and this is another philodendron that I might want to get in my collection. The thing about philodendrons, though, plant foldies, is if you notice, a lot of them want to climb up, and that's the thing. You want to look at how are you going to display them. Some people will say, you know, moss poles, they're not really aesthetically pleasing. In my opinion, they're really not. So I'm trying to find other ways to like help my plants climb rather than just using a conventional moss pole. So that's kind of my dilemma. Now here is a Philodendron Giganteum variegated. This is for $110, and you can see that there is one yellowing leaf. Don't worry, that's not too bad because it's just probably shedding out an old leaf, but the rest of the plant looks stunning. If you notice too, Green Acres actually has these uncommon and rare philodendrons, or plants in general, potted up in a very chunky soil mix. And plant foldies, what I want to do is I want to actually film myself creating my soil mixes. I talked about giving you guys a little more different content in terms of just plant shopping videos or nursery tours. So have no fear, that is coming along, and you can see that it is just going to be some more content available for you. But today I just want to celebrate being here at Green Acres Nursery out in Melissa, Texas, because you can see they've got quite a bit of rare and uncommon plants, more so than I've seen in the past. Like right over here for $30 only, Epipremnum pinnatum marble, and it actually is starting to be crawling up like a moss pole. I really like that a lot because something like Epipremnum pinnatum, these plants are actually endemic to my home country, which is the Philippines. My family's originally from the Philippines, and you know, for me, I love to share the fact that I am Filipino, a proud Filipino American. So if we have any kababayans or anybody that's Filipino watching, please leave a comment. I love connecting with you guys. I recently connected with a couple of Filipino plant foldies, but yes, that Epipremnum pinnatum is endemic to my home country, the Philippines. It's crazy because they literally grow like weeds there. They're not really considered a house plant. And you know, that's something that I did talk about in some of my videos is in Southeast Asia or countries where these plants, for instance, is variegated domesticanum, they're grown outside. They are not necessarily having to be indoors under a grow light, next to a humidifier, having to be sprayed with neem oil or pest control, having special fertilizers. These plants, when they are in their natural environment, just grow. And that's really the difference between how we grow our plants in the western part of the world and where these plants grow in their natural habitats. But at the end of the day, if we love these tropical plants, and I know you guys all do, we will do whatever we can in order for them to thrive in our homes. I know that I have a variegated domesticanum that I bought actually at HEB for a really good price, and I'm glad that my variegation on it has been pretty stable. But it's so cool to see these uncommon and rare plants. Like you can see right here, this is another variegated domesticanum, $53.50. It is actually a pretty fast growing plant, even though it's variegated. Now again, with this plant, the domesticanum, you do need to give it a moss pole or something to climb on because that is really the natural habitat for it. And what's really cool is once you get a plant like a philodendron that wants to climb on a polar or some type of plank, if the aerial roots start to attach, that's when you really see the leaves starting to like size up and all of that. So I like that a lot. My trick is to just have a humidifier right next to the aerial roots, and I'll really promote them to grow a little bit larger and attach. Now this is a Monstera Adansonii for $100. It's a variegated form, but I have never seen one that was more green on green. While the variegation is a little bit more subtle, I would think that the variegation, the green on green, would be a little bit more pronounced if you give it a lot more bright indirect light. So for those that are planning to go to Green Acres, people that they're super helpful. So like if you run into Parker, he's typically there. You can ask him a lot of questions and he'll be able to guide you through it. And then also when I visited and filmed, I was able to meet Alyssa. Hello, Alyssa. You are super helpful in answering my questions and just kind of giving me more insight about the plant. Really love that a lot. So for me, whenever I go feature local plant nurseries, I always look at the level of service, the staff that's available. And that's the reason why I always constantly talk about like local plant nurseries like Peta's Planters, you know, Lupita and David, they're awesome. But then also the Green Acres staff, they're pretty nice as well. Tanya at the Irvin location was able to really educate me about the plants and really just let me know what type of rare plants you were going to get. So I just wanted to plug that in, that if it's going to be your first time, you all actually get some good service. They're very helpful. But as you can see, plant foldies, I've been showing you guys some more rare plants. This one is for $110, and this is a variegated Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Here's my opinion about Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. Number one, the variegation is not as stable. And then number two, I feel like the variegation has to initially be high variegation for the plant to really produce variegation. So I don't know if it's necessarily the light that influences the amount of variegation. I would think that it's more about the initial genetics of the plant that would actually influence it. You know, there are certain plants that if you flood it with a lot of light, you have higher variegation. Now with Monstera Thai Constellation, and I love the fact that they have these small ones here in like 3-inch starter plants. These are for $26.50. And I'm actually thinking about purchasing one of these Monstera Thai Constellations to do as a giveaway for our plant foldies. Literally, as I do this voiceover and edit for tonight, we are only 7 subscribers away to reaching 10,000 plant foldy subscribers. I am so excited about that. And I was thinking about doing a plant giveaway. You know, you can't ever go wrong with the Monstera Thai Constellation. I just feel like a smaller size like this would be easier to ship. I know that I've done 2 plant giveaways. So if you haven't already, please make sure you are following me on Instagram. My Instagram name is @growfolds. That's where I do my plant giveaways. Now over here is another philodendron. This is a philodendron Hederaceum cream splash. So you can see that these philodendron Hederaceums are very similar in their variegation. Honestly, I thought it was actually a philodendron Hederaceum Brazil, but you see cream splash. I think with this one probably needs a little bit of water, but this one you can see that there is a little bit of a streak of like some cream on it. They also have the silver stripe philodendron Hederaceum. They also have a philodendron Rio, and then they also have a philodendron Hederaceum Gabi. So there's just a lot. Now this is a really good price, $25 for a philodendron Red Anderson. And you know, at face value, people will think, oh, that's a highly variegated philodendron Pink Princess, but that is not. This is a different philodendron. This one is a philodendron Red Anderson, and it's actually one of my wish list plants. So I am definitely gonna I am gonna buy this. I will end up buying this philodendron. This one probably just because it's got some really large foliage already. But what's cool about the philodendron Red Anderson is it does have that splotchy look like a philodendron Pink Princess, but the variegation can either be pink or white, so it's almost like a tricolor. You can see they have another one right here, and for $25, that is not a bad price at all. I also like the fact that the variegation of a philodendron Red Anderson tends to be a little bit more stable as compared to a Pink Princess. And this has potential to be easily propagated. It is more of a fast growing philodendron as well. So there's just a lot of interest into why I would want to buy this philodendron. So that's definitely going to go into my shopping cart for sure. Then over here, plant foldies, we've got a variegated philodendron melanochrysum. Beautiful plant as well. Let's see how much this costs. This one is, it is a little bit pricey, $190. Now, melanochrysums in general, Philodendron melanochrysums are gorgeous. They have beautiful velvety texture leaves. Now, the variegation on this one right here, I'm not sure if it's stable, but I mean, it is another plant that's still quite uncommon, probably rare. And you don't really run into it as often, especially at a local nursery. And that's the thing, plant foldies, I will say about Green Acres, is you can go here, and instead of you having to go online to go buy a plant and get it shipped, you can actually find these plants in person in North Dallas. And I love that, because as somebody who loves plants, there is always a risk of having to order plants online, because it's not always the seller's fault whether the plant makes it to you or not. And you know, with summer being 100+ degree weather in Texas, I refuse to buy any plants to ship to me. I was actually surprised that my Indonesian import didn't have any baked plants, like they came in perfect condition. But that is a risk whenever you're buying plants online. I mean, you can see right here, they've got some smaller varieties of these Philodendron Florida Beauties, and I love Philodendron Florida Beauties. You can see these are the very juvenile leaves. Look at how beautiful the variegation is, and that's for $45. So if you actually want a starter Philodendron Florida Beauty, you could go to Green Acres. I will say that this plant actually grows pretty fast as well, and this one does definitely need some type of stake or moss pole for it to really mature and give you those larger fenestrations. And then this one is for $275. It is a variegated Alocasia black velvet pink, and I love this Alocasia. It's actually one of my wish list plants, and it's a plant that if I go to PlantCon and I find it for a pretty decent price, I remember at PlantCon in Houston, they were being sold for like $800. So perhaps the plant pricing for a variegated Alocasia black velvet pink may have gone down a little bit. If it doesn't, if I can't find one within like $100 range, then I'll just have to wait till next year. Again, with these variegated Alocasias, they are the hot plant of the season. But when you think about it, all plant pricing eventually goes down. It's just basic economics. If there is a high demand but small supply, it's going to drive up the prices. But the cool thing about, you know, these variegated Alocasia varieties is they do reproduce quickly. You know, you can get corms and then you can grow them out and you can continue to just kind of reproduce your plants. Now, the thing I will say about Alocasia, I think I need to grow them in pond or semi-hydroponics like leca. Now over here is the first time for me to ever see this. This is a Scindapsus blue albo, and it's quite expensive actually for a Scindapsus. I would have bought this one. Look at the half moons that this one produces. Now this Scindapsus is, wow, that's actually a pretty high price. I don't know if I would actually spend the money for that. I would say that this is probably more of a rare Scindapsus, but you know, sometimes you're just literally paying for the variegation. Actually, you are for, you know, $130. Now, I don't know how fast this Scindapsus blue albo would grow, and that's the thing that makes me nervous about Scindapsus, is because they're not as vigorous as a pothos or an Epipremnum aureum. Although I will say it's beautiful, it's just not something I would want to invest at the current moment, unless, you know, I end up making a lot more money. You know, I'm trying to find side gigs to kind of fund my my plant budget. But plant foldies, as you can see here, we have another Philodendron Apartriciae. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've never seen this Philodendron, but look at how cool it looks. It has a little bit of the striping here, and it is in a chunky soil mix. I love the look of that as well. It is another Philodendron that for $62, that's not bad. So, you know, it's probably an uncommon Philodendron. It's definitely a Philodendron that I've never really heard of or seen. So it's always nice to be able to see, you know, Philodendron or just plants that you typically don't run into. I mean, you can see right here, this is another Florida Beauty, $45. This one doesn't have nearly as much variegation. So again, you know, whenever you're plant shopping, especially for a rare or uncommon plant that is a little bit pricey, please be very picky about the variegation, because, you know, not all variegation is, number one, stable, and then number two, you're paying a premium for a plant, so you deserve to get a really nice, healthy looking plant. Now, again, this is a variegated Domesticana for $53.50. Not a bad price at all, actually, for a variegated Domesticanum. And I recently did a plant giveaway for that, and I was able to ship it out to Arizona. Super happy that the winner was able to get it in one piece. And over here we have a Philodendron plomanii. So I remember about 4 years ago, I used to have a Philodendron plomanii. I remember I spent like $150 for it. It had really large leaves, but it's so interesting that 4 years later, you can get it for under $30. I think this is like $22.50. Look at how many shoots it has. So like you can literally chop it up and have multiple plants. That's the thing about philodendron specifically is the I guess the process of being able to reproduce and propagate them, it's super exciting. And then as you can see right over here, we've just got full tables of different types of houseplants here. I'm gonna get to those in a minute, but I did want to show you guys all of the different uncommon and rare Hoyas. I won't try to pronounce some of their names. I will just show you the plant ID. Now this one is for $35, and that is another type of genus of plant that I will most likely get into. I'm kind of afraid that if I gain a Hoya addiction, that I'm just gonna wanna buy every single type of Hoya. What I've discovered about Hoya is they are actually easy to care for. Like Hoyas are not really that fussy. For me, a person who doesn't really water his plants that often, it is a lot easier on me because I don't have to worry about having to water it all the time, and they're still forgiving. They don't really decline in health. But you can see this Hoya right here, beautiful splashy Hoya, for $35. And the cool thing about Hoya is once you get them established, and I realized that Hoyas, their ideal environment is they like higher humidity if you're able to, definitely a lot of bright light, and they will grow for you. They will shoot out more vines, and they're easy to propagate from like water propagation or even sphagnum moss. But plant foliage, you can see right over here, they just have a lot of these little starter uncommon and rare Hoyas. So if you are a Hoya head or somebody that loves Hoyas, you can make a trip out to Green Acres out in Melissa, Texas. I always tell people, anybody that's traveling to Oklahoma and you love plants, definitely check out this area because it's basically on the way to Oklahoma. I mean, you can see right over here, they've got several different types of Hoyas. And then for those that actually live in Oklahoma and you're going down to Texas, this is definitely a plant nursery you want to check out. Again, I am just showing you guys all of these beautiful Hoyas. Like for instance here, they have rare and uncommon plants, but they also have a lot of like plants to choose from for your actual collection, your houseplant collection. So I would recommend definitely checking out Green Acres. It is exciting that they've gotten some more rare and uncommon Hoyas. I'm even more excited in the potential of this nursery continuing to get more plants. That's really the goal, is to get more plants, to sell more plants, to get more interest. And that's the reason why I plant foldies. If you ever make it to Green Acres and you run into Parker or any of the staff in the indoor houseplant section, please tell them that you are a plant foldy, you watch Grow Folds on YouTube, and you are a friend of Richie. I just want to see what kind of foot traffic we can get here. I love making videos for Green Acres. They don't really sponsor me or anything. Like I said, with all of these local plant nurseries, it's just I genuinely appreciate the plants that they have, as well as the service and kindness that they've always shown me. Now, plant foldies, you can see right here, jewel orchids for only $7.50. Super good price for a jewel orchid. I love that. And again, that's another thing is I don't know a lot about jewel orchids. I remember actually having a couple of jewel orchids a couple years back when that was actually, another it plant where everybody just had to have a jewel orchid. It is exciting to see that they have these available only for $7.50. Not a bad price at all. Now, these jewel orchids do require a little bit more humidity. So plant foldies, if you are going to get into jewel orchids, make sure you have the humidity levels. Either put them in a terrarium, put them next to a humidifier, put them in a dome, but somewhere where they get some good humidity, and they will do well for you. The blooms are really stunning as well, so that is a plus for sure. And it's nice that they have a bunch of starter jewel orchids. Now, right next to you, the jewel orchids are a bunch of Monstera esqueletos, and that is another Monstera that is on my wish list. I definitely want to get a Monstera esqueleto. I've had a Monstera laniata, which is basically a larger form type of Monstera adansonii, but they can get leaves that large. The only thing about the Monstera laniata is it does take quite a bit of time for it to actually fenestrate and get large leaves. Like it literally has to attach to something, versus the Monstera esqueleto, where basically it's just a giant Monstera adansonii. Beautiful, beautiful plant. And I've actually wanted to see if there is a variegated version of a Monstera esqueleto. I'm pretty sure that would be absolutely stunning if it actually existed. At this point, with tissue culture and different ways of like pushing out variegation, it's not necessarily just something that happens in nature. I think a lot of these variegated plants have started to just be engineered by humans. So who knows, we might actually get a variegated Monstera esqueleto if there's not one already. Now we're gonna walk in here into the caged area for rare and uncommon plants. So I'm gonna take a little bit of time to show you what they have over here, plant foldies. This is the part that I love the most. I mean, obviously all of the plants that they have at Green Acres I love, but the rare and uncommon section over here is actually someplace where I love to spend my time with, because you'll see these beautiful variegated plants. Now, the thing about variegated plants, again, plant foldies, we're all a sucker for it. You know, I talk about green plants being beautiful, but there is a level of interest that happens with variegated plants. Like for instance, this right here is an Epipremnum pinnatum marble. And what I love about it is, look at it, it's already started to fenestrate. And for instant gratification, it's only for $200. $200 for a beautiful work of nature. Look at this. This is just such a beautiful plant. And you can see that it's got pretty stable balance in terms of a variegation. So you've got some marbling, you've got some greens. And the thing about this plant is if it starts to revert to green, you need to just chop it up and just make sure that the green parts are chopped up so you can promote more variegation. Some plants, like that plant, requires that in order for you to really maintain it. And then over here is another variegated Alocasia. Look at how large it is. You can see that some of the leaves have crisp up. You know, that's actually another problem with variegated plants, is they do either get crispy or crisp up. And that's the reason why you have to stay on top of their watering, make sure that you have some humidity levels. And you can see here though, if you buy this one is actually for $200 as well, which is not a bad price considering how large this Alocasia is. There are several little babies and little corms that have already popped up. So you can separate that and have several little plants that you can grow out of. If I were to buy this plant, I would definitely separate the babies and then possibly put them in hydroponics. I definitely need to try Leca or Pond. I especially want to try Pond here. The only thing is it's hard to find Pond. I wish Green Acres actually sold it. Whenever I check Amazon, it's always sold out. But for those that have actually used Pond to grow as a substrate, please let me know how your experience has been for it. My good friend Janae Simone actually gifted me a plant, a reverted Philodendron burley marks, and it's actually in Pond and it's doing very well. Now over here, check these out. I don't know if this is a vanilla plant. Somebody let me know, but that is really cool that it's already on a moss pole. And then over here, and I actually thought this was really cool, and some people will think that this is crazy that I would even consider buying it, but this is the variegated Philodendron burley marks. Now the thing about Philodendron burley marks is it is a plant that is not stable in variegation, like it easily reverts. But this specimen that they have here is beautiful, and it is for $140. But you can see there's quite a bit of variegated leaves. Look at how beautiful. It's got the yellowish Aurea look. I've had one before. This is actually a pretty easy plant to grow. Like, it's hard to kill it. Like, if you have like issues with it, you can literally chop it back down to the base and it will just start all over. But look at how beautiful that variegation is for this particular Philodendron burley marks. For $140, that's another plant that I would consider buying for that price. Now, the only thing about it is one of those plants where I don't know if it's just really the lighting conditions that really influence the variegation, or if it's just a plant that just reverts. Please leave in the comments, plant foldies, what your experience is with this particular philodendron, but this one is absolutely stunning. So if you like variegated plants like this, you definitely need to go to Green Acres in Melissa, Texas. And then over here, $145 for this Philodendron Jose Bono. And I actually am thinking about buying this when I get the funds. They have a couple still left, but it's already on a moss pole. Look at how beautiful the variegation is, and it's a good price. Like, I mean, I really think it's a good price. And what I also like about this nursery is whenever you buy at like a big box store or even a local plant nursery, you're not always guaranteed that these plants are healthy. They have a really good way of having pest control and just healthy plants. I was able to talk to the staff about it. So I like the maintenance that they have. So I'm not always worried about, you know, picking up a plant for $140 and having that plant die on me or having some type of pest. Obviously, plant foldies, no matter how clean, sterile a local nursery is, or even a big box store plant, you have to spray it with preventative pest control. For me, it's neem oil. It's my DIY plant foldy mist that I created. I have given you guys the ingredients for that, and you can see there's even frogs over here, some natural predators to get rid of some of these pests. But as you can see here, plant foldies, I mean, look at this. So this is a philodendron I should have bought at another local nursery for like $9.99, a smaller one. This is a Philodendron Columbia, and look at how beautiful that is. Now this philodendron I definitely want because it's got some beautiful texture. That one is for $32.50. Not a bad price at all, but I love the deep veining on it, the texture of the leaves, the different shades of green, and it's just a stunning plant. It screams tropical vibes. It screams, you know, exotic plant, and it screams, you know, it screams pretty much cost-effective pricing. $32.50 for a Philodendron Columbia. That is beautiful. Now, can you imagine finding one in a variegated form? I'm pretty sure at some point someday that will be produced, and that's the reason why plant foldies. I am so excited to go to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, Texas, August 31st, September 1st. I will be meeting several of you guys in person. So again, please make sure you guys are buying your tickets. And for those that are a little bit out of town, like even people living in Austin, I would highly recommend going to PlantCon just because you'll see rare plants like this. Now this one's for $55. This is a Monstera sedliana. Really like the plant. The only thing I will say about this plant is it definitely needs to climb. You don't want to not give it enough light, because if you don't provide it enough light, it shoots runners. So that's just some of my commentary, because I personally have one. I've had to chop it up because it had so many runners, so I'm doing wet stick propagations. But to go back to PlantCon, I would highly recommend anybody that's, you know, in San Antonio, Houston, Austin, or anybody that is willing to make a little bit of a drive. You know, besides going to PlantCon, Dallas is a wonderful place to visit, even for the weekend, and there's just plenty of things to do outside of PlantCon. So I would recommend it. I would love to meet any plant foldies. We did talk about meeting up at PETA's Planters booth around 11 o'clock. General admission comes in at 10, so you'll have an hour to wander around. But if you want to just have that big meetup, it should be around 11 o'clock at that time at PETA's Planters. Now you'll be able to find me because I will be wearing a Grow Folds t-shirt. And for those that have shown interest in wanting to purchase a Grow Folds t-shirt, really appreciate it. If you are interested in going to PlantCon, send me a direct message. Let me know what color and size, and I will bring it to you. But anyways, plant foldies, I'm going to go back to the actual nursery, but I just couldn't help myself about talking about PlantCon because that's just something that I'm really excited about. I'll have several hours. I'll be filming all day, so there'll be so many episodes and features. But anyways, Philodendron tortum. Look at how big this Philodendron tortum is, and it's actually a really good price for a established Philodendron tortum. What a cool looking plant. There is a Philodendron tortum crossed with a Philodendron Florida Beauty. That is such a beautiful hybrid, but even just the original Philodendron tortum, like look at how cool that is. It's giving me palm vibes, but this is only for $32, I believe, somewhere around that range. Not a bad price at all. And when you think about it, Costa Farms sells, you know, trending tropicals of Philodendron tortum for like $19.84 or $20.84. But to get something that's a little bit more established, beautiful plant. And the thing about Philodendron tortum is you do need to provide it a moss pole or some type of totem pole for it to really, you know, get larger leaves and mature. And also providing it with a little bit more humidity is going to help the leaves unfurl. Now this is for $200. This is a variegated Alocasia Adora. I actually have one of these as well. And the thing about it is this is a beautiful variegated Alocasia. I am currently growing it out in my front patio, my front porch, just because it was struggling indoors. It has now pushed out more growth. And that's the thing, plant foldies, whenever you have a plant, especially like an Alocasia or any type of indoor tropical plant, you can bring them outdoors, put them in a place where they get get morning light and then just afternoon shade, and they tend to just like grow and bounce back. Like that's the fastest way to rehabilitate a plant. I'm doing that with some of my leggy Alocasias, and I'm not my leggy Alocasias, like my leggy Syngoniums, for instance. I've literally chopped them back to where they're starting to just push out new growth. And then over here again, I am showing you some more Philodendron Columbia. Like, gosh, like I might want to just buy the large form. I don't know, plant foldies, because with this particular philodendron, or most philodendrons, they tend to be pretty quick at growing. And so I'm not worried about having to grow them from, you know, like a small size. Although there are some plants where I just want instant gratification. You can see right here, like the Monstera Esqueleto, I'm going to just need it in that size. And you can see right over here, we have another Philodendron Plomanii that's only for $27.50. And Philodendron Plomanii, what's cool about it is it does look like a Philodendron Columbia, but it has a little bit more silvery streaking on it. The plant will get larger leaves. Now, a lot of the Philodendron Plomanii that I'm seeing in the market, though, are most likely tissue cultured. I remember my Philodendron Plomanii was definitely not tissue cultured. You can see right here, this is another Philodendron Ring of Fire, which I would tell you, for a variegated philodendron, this is probably one of the more common ones. Like I literally see that at Walmart. You see that at local nurseries. So that's one of those plants where I ended up finding something that size for $7 on clearance at Walmart that does have some really nice variegation. And then over here we've got a Philodendron Bellitiae, and I'm excited because I finally got me a Philodendron Bellitiae. This plant can get large. I love the orange stems. I got mine from Indonesia, from Green Spaces ID. Really appreciate that they sent me a couple of plants for free. And you know, if you are going to PlantCon 2024, you can go to Green Spaces ID, get 20% off of your order, and pre-order to where you can pick up your plants at the actual convention and stuff, and you don't have to worry about them having to ship it. Now over here is a Philodendron Gloriosum. So I got my Philodendron Gloriosum, I believe, for like $30 at a big box store called Home Depot. It was from Proven Winners. Now with Philodendron Gloriosum, it is more of a finicky plant because it's more spider mite prone. Anything that has like fuzzy velvety leaves, as far as the philodendron, tend to be a little bit more prone to that. And what's interesting is most philodendron want to climb up a moss pole. That one wants to crawl. So it's a crawling type philodendron. So it will literally just crawl across, you know, the actual pot. So you want more of a vertical pot if you're going to actually, or not a vertical pot, you want more of a horizontal pot where it just gives you a little bit more space for it to crawl. That's a Philodendron Snowdrift. Now with Philodendron Snowdrift, you want to provide it with a little bit more bright light for it to really push out that that cream color. And then over here, we've got a Philodendron Paraíso Verde. I recently got a Philodendron Paraíso Verde, and this particular philodendron, the variegation is actually influenced by the humidity levels and the heat and light. If you give it more warmer temperatures, it will push out more variegation. If you don't give it that warmer temperature, it will not be as variegated. And that's the problem with Philodendron Paraíso Verde. So right now, I actually got mine from Fitzgerald's Tropicals. It has some really good variegation. It is actually out near an east-facing window. I may need to go up the temperature area for it. And that's the thing though, plant foldies, like with plants like this, you can see all of those beautiful plants. Like this one right here is a Philodendron Melanochrysum, just a regular form. These plants, sometimes they're beautiful to look, definitely beautiful to look at, but we also have to take into account, like, is it a sustainable practice for us to be able to grow them indoors? Would we be able to grow them indoors long term? You know, that's the questions I would ask anybody, just because some plants really do require a little bit more humidity, so you have to have like humidifiers. So unless you have like a greenhouse or something of that nature, I always tell people, do what's best for you. If you really want to invest in all of that, then that's perfect. But also know that it's okay that you won't be able to grow certain plants. It's okay to admire them via somebody else's plant collection, or even on like YouTube where you can see them. Because at the end of the day, if you're spending too much time trying to take care of plants and trying to keep them from dying, then it really takes the fun away from the plants. Like, I think there is a certain level of plant tours we need to invest in our plants. But if you're spending all of your time trying to keep a plant alive, sometimes I always tell people, Actually, I say this all the time in all of my videos. Just reassess where your priorities are with your plants, what your plants actually do for you. Do they bring you joy, or do they bring you over, stress or anxiety? Plants are supposed to be fun, and so if a plant is just taking up too much of your time taking care of them, I just always say, maybe scale back. Now over here, plant foldies, this is a beautiful Monstera constellation. And again, these Monstera constellations are really priced well. So I always tell people, it's nice to go at local plant nurseries, especially Green Acres, because they have some awesome plant pricing. Like, I'm going to show you some hanging baskets of Philodendron Boletiae, and you can even see these are large Philodendron Boletiae right over here. But check this out right here. Look at this hanging basket of Philodendron Boletiae. I believe, and we're going to see, let's take a look. $40 for a hanging basket of large Philodendron Boletiae. That's super awesome. And I love Philodendron Boletiae because look at that. That orange stem is just fabulous. And also just the very narrow, tall leaves. It's just really nice. Now with Philodendron Boletiae, they tend to want to climb up. So you really want to try to give them like a moss pole, some type of stake, some type of plank for them to attach themselves to, because that's really what they want to do in nature. But I mean, these are beautiful specimens, and this is a perfect example of a non-variegated plant that gives you a lot of impact. Like even just looking at the shape of this Philodendron Boletiae is just amazing. And if I had $40 to spend, I would totally buy it. But I already have a Philodendron Boletiae, which brings me to another question, plant foldies. Do you ever just like a plant so much that you have multiples of a certain plant? If you do, please leave that in the comments, and also just leave comments of what plants you've seen so far at Green Acres that you like. I would also encourage you guys to maybe leave comments for the Green Acres staff to see. Feedback, I always say, is a gift, and that's one way to just continue to elevate, nurseries, or even my YouTube channel. I know I've been given some feedback. I'm trying to make a couple of adjustments in some of my content. I definitely won't give up though. Hydra Helix. You already know, if you're a plant foldie, I will keep that on the channel. But anyways, going back to the plants now, we're going to be taking a look at all of the plants that are more like common or like easier to find. So you can see that they have arranged their tables as like philodendron and even pothos plants. So we're going to take a look at what they have at this table. Look at how lush and full it is. But what I'm more excited about, plant foldies, is I like to share the plant pricing that they have available, because you will actually be super surprised about the amount of plants you can buy and start your collection. Like, I think one day I'm going to come back here and buy several different types of philodendron. So I've actually purchased this Philodendron squamiferum, this specific type, where it's already on a stake, and that's only for $50. But look at how large that Philodendron squamiferum is. I really love the fuzzy petioles, and it is an easy to care for plant. So that is one plant I did get from Green Acres a little while back, and it hasn't been giving me any issues. It lives in my living room, and it gets a lot of like east facing light. It's also under a grow light by Sansi, and I am thankful that Sansi Grow Lights was able to sponsor me and give me some free grow lights to test. They have been doing very well for my plants. Over here is a Philodendron benipophilium, I think that's how you pronounce it, or the horsehead philodendron. I like this, and I love the price, $9.75. That is not a bad price at all. They also have a golden violin, Philodendron golden violin, which is basically the yellow form of this particular philodendron. Now, this one does need to grow up a totem pole, a moss pole, for it to have its leaves mature. It becomes more of a horse head as it actually matures, but $9.75, super good price for it. And, a lot of their 3.5, 5-inch planters are within that range for philodendron. So if you enjoy philodendron and you want more of the easier to care for common philodendron varieties, you can find them. And it's interesting because they actually have a philodendron silver sword, for instance, the smaller variety, for only $9.75. They have the larger varieties as well, which actually range from $15 to $50. So that's really the price range of a lot of their philodendron, and you'll quickly see what I mean as I keep showcasing all of the philodendron they have available. They also get a lot of restock, so if you are always wondering whether they consistently restock, I will say yes, but the one person you could ask would be Parker. So if he's still there, you can ask him and see if they're going to get any more restocks. But you can see right here is a beautiful philodendron silver sword. I already have one, but for it to really size up on its leaves, you definitely want to give it a pole or something to climb on. This is just a regular philodendron heteroecium green form, and you can see that that is a philodendron moonlight, the smaller variety. So it's not as big as the $50 one, but I think that is probably like $15. So again, if you just want the 6-inch starter planters, that is not a bad price at all. And you already know Plant Foldies, I love my my neon color plants. I love these plants so much. Just remember, anything that is more of a neon color, you want to make sure that you're providing it with bright indirect light, lots of it, for it to really maintain that color. But Plant Foldies, I mean, look at how full and lush this table is. You can see they've got a bunch of Epipremnum aureum Mandula pothos. Now these are for $20 in 4.5, 5-inch planters. Mandula pothos, you know, some people will say it's a rare pothos. Some people will say it's an uncommon pothos. I would say Costa Farms is really the only plant supplier that supplies at big box stores for it. So I would say it's still an uncommon pothos, but it is a beautiful pothos, needless to say. So if you find it, you definitely want to buy it. Here is a Monstera siltepecana totem right here. And again, you want this to grow. And you can notice that these leaves are actually fairly large. That is not a bad price at all. And you can see that the leaves have already attached to the pole. You can see those aerial roots have already steadily attached. And it will continue to size up. You would just have to extend the pole. But that is a beautiful Monstera, because if you really look at the leaves, they've got so many different intricacies in it. And then over here is an Epipremnum aureum marble queen pothos totem right here. Again, you know, growing Epipremnum aureum or marble queen or just pothos in general, you want to go have it grow up a pole, because that is really the natural way it grows in nature. Over here, we've got a bunch of Epipremnum aureum marble queens. These are for $27.50. Part of me wants to call them snow queen pothos. Sometimes they're really challenging to figure out whether it's a snow queen pothos or not. The most distinct way to figure out whether it's a snow queen or marble queen is a marble queen pothos has more cream variegation. A snow queen has really more stark white variegation. But as you can see, Plant Foldies, I'm going to walk away here and just kind of show you what other plants they have. They've got some hanging baskets of Epipremnum panatum, Cebu blue. They've got a pothos, a golden pothos right over here, and even more Mandula pothos. Like, look at how beautiful that variegation is. And with Mandula pothos, the only drawback about this particular pothos is it is extremely slow growing. But I love the leaf shape of this pothos. It's got more of a rounder shape as compared to any of the other pothos. I've even liked the reverted Mandula pothos, where it's got large round green leaves. And then you can see right here, and I think this is a better value. For $32.50, you can get a 6-inch planter of Mandula pothos. And here's the thing, this is a super full planter of Mandula pothos. Part of me would actually go back and purchase that. You can never have enough Mandula pothos. I have yet to find a Costa Farms hanging basket of Mandula pothos, because if I find one, I would definitely purchase it. But it is such a rarity. And I'm just glad that if you don't have a Mandula pothos, definitely purchase it at Green Acres. You can make that trip up here, and then you can see they've got several baskets of Epipremnum panatum Cebu blue. I would say Cebu blue pothos, though, if you don't give it a lot of light, it will get leggy. It will just shoot runners. So that's the thing I learned. And it's also not as drought tolerant. Actually, any of the Epipremnum panatum, not the Epipremnum aureum, tend to be a little bit more sensitive to not being watered. So you just want to make sure you stay on top of the watering. Ask me why. It's because I've learned from experience. I've let some of my Cebu blue pothos go without water, and it just was not a good thing for them. Now over here on this table, the back part of the table, we've got a large philodendron, either Rojo Congo or red imperial. And then we have an epipremnum aureum enjoy. Actually, they say it's enjoy, but this is actually pearls and jade. They're very similar looking, but remember the enjoy pothos doesn't have speckling. Now I actually want to buy this, but I didn't buy it when I went to Green Acres. But this is one of my favorite philodendron. This is a philodendron lemon lime, and it is only for $15.50. You get a full basket full of this. Now this philodendron, you definitely have to put it on a pole, a moss pole, a stake, because it wants to climb up. I wouldn't try to grow it as a hanging basket, but that is another plant that, number one, is a fast growing plant. Number two, it's easy to propagate. And number three, that plant price is amazing. Now, if you want a large philodendron Prince of Orange, and for those that love Prince of Orange, here it goes. $50. That is a really good price for a philodendron Prince of Orange. I mean, look at how large that is. Look at how beautiful that is. And you don't have to grow it out. It's already instant gratification. And then over here, I think that these are either philodendron red imperials or maybe black cardinal. I'm not 100% sure, but this is also for only $15.50. So again, plant foldies, if you are into philodendron and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can still start your plant collection. Like this is another smaller version of a philodendron Prince of Orange, $15.50. So there are 3 different types of philodendron, or 4 in 6-inch planters for only $15.50. That is such a good price, because normally you'd spend like $25 to $30 for a 6-inch planter, but now you can find them here, and there's just many varieties. So plant foldies, let me know what you think so far of some of the more common plants. As you can see, they have this plant bar here with a bunch of their rare and uncommon plants. Super exciting, and I'm just gonna keep walking through here and showing you some of the other tables. So many gorgeous plants to pick from. I mean, you saw that Mandula pothos, you've got some Monstera Thai constellations, you've got some massive Spathiphyllum or peace lilies, we've got some big Janet Craig Dracaena compactas, and then we also have a large Monstera deliciosa right over here. This is definitely a plant paradise. It's got some nice styling, and they just have some nice planters here. Like, I love the fact that you can pick a plant. They have plants that you can planters that you can plant your plant in, and you know, Green Acres actually can assist you in repotting up a plant. So if you find a stylish planter and you want them to pot it up, you can actually have them assist you with that. And they already have some plants that are potted up for you to purchase. You can see right here, this is some type of philodendron, I'm not sure, but this one is for $31 in a really nice round terracotta planter. Love that yellow philodendron. You know, I love my yellow plants. That's a beautiful one. And then you can see right here, philodendron gloriosum for $67. Notice how the philodendron gloriosum, it's actually crawling across the planter versus actually wanting to climb up. I do have that. I need to go repot mine. And then you can see right over here, they've got some more plants that are potted up and ready to be sold. They've had some 2-inch starter planters that are in some nice, really nice planters to begin with. And then over here, we've got a philodendron sellum right here. That is a common plant that I found actually when I was vacationing in the Philippines. And then let's see what else they have over here, plant foldies. I know I walked in, but they had some more starter planters. So if you're a fan of philodendron micans, this is only for $4.50. And you know, philodendron micans, it's a pretty fast growing philodendron. Love the velvety texture of the leaves. It's very delicate, and it's one that you can chop up and get several cuttings from. They root very easily in water. And then we also have some more philodendron heteraceums, just a green variety here, also for $4.50. I gotta love the philodendron micans again. The only thing about philodendron micans is it is another plant that could potentially get leggy if you do not provide it with a lot of bright indirect light. So you just have to be really mindful about that if you're gonna grow philodendron micans. Now I'm going to keep walking over here, plant foldies. On the very right, you have a bunch of assorted large palms. I love the Rapis palm on the very right, and it looks like we have a Majesty palm over here. And you already know Majesty palms, you can see them at big box stores. You can also see them at local plant nurseries. And then we have a bunch of Philodendrons orchids right here. That is another staple at any local nursery. Like I would say, whether it's a big box store, a local nursery, or a grocery store, you'll always find Philodendrons orchids. And these are my favorite types of bromeliad. So I talked about how certain bromeliads have that pink. This one I believe is for $24.50. Beautiful plant. Like if you love pink plants, like that is so stunning. That is what you call a plant that gives you a lot of color. That is my favorite type of bromeliad, is the ones that have that type of color. And then you can see here as I pan away, we've got some Philodendrons orchids. We've got another variegated Alocasia as a centerpiece. And we've got cryptanthus, and then all of these flowering Anthuriums here. This is the common variety one with the red blooms. Again, you know, these are easy to care for Anthuriums. And then right here, we've got a pineapple bromeliad. And for those that didn't know, pineapples are part of the bromeliad family. You can see that there is a miniature pineapple that's super cute. I wouldn't necessarily grow it in my houseplant collection, but that is an interesting, like, you know, conversation plant piece. And then we have a couple more blooming Anthuriums to choose from. But plant folies, as you can see, they have that little area with some flowering tropical plants. I really like the look of that. They've got some more peace lilies and other things. I also like that there is pretty good airflow and circulation here. If you are walking around, it is a little bit hot and humid in this environment, but you know what? It's not about being comfortable. It's about making sure the plants in this nursery is comfortable, and that's really what their environment, or what they call for. And then on the right over here, we're going to look at this. There's just a bunch of Monstera deliciosas. And while there are a bunch of variegated Monstera deliciosas showing up in the market, just remember the original OG was the Monstera deliciosa green form. You can see this one has just recently unfurled a new leaf. Love that a lot. And I love it when Monsteras are in their juvenile form. They have that heart-shaped leaf. And I say this in all my videos. I just really wish that certain Monstera wouldn't fenestrate. I just love that heart-shaped leaf. And then if you're into air plants, I would say that Green Acres definitely has a lot to choose from. They have them already labeled with the plant ID. I'm not going to go into detail about air plants because I really don't know anything about air plants except the fact that they don't have to be in soil. To water them, you literally either can mist them or soak them in water, pull them out, let them dry off, and they are good to go. Air plants definitely get their water or their nutrients from the air, the ambient humidity, but you can see they have different colors. This one is more of a red color, so this one is more of like a red infused type air plant. So plant folies, if you do grow air plants, please let me know what your experience has been for these air plants, if they're easy, and what your care tips are. Now, speaking of care tips, this is a plant care line that I stand by because I love using We the Wild products. So they have what they call the Protect Neem oil. Now, I don't use the Protect Neem oil anymore because I make the Plant Foldy Mist DIY neem oil, but I do use this. This is such a good liquid fertilizer that they have. It's all natural ingredients. And what I love about We the Wild USA is it was created by an entrepreneur out in Houston, Texas, and it has literally blown up where you can see them at big box stores. I remember seeing these out at Target. I ended up buying the gift set, but if you are wanting to have like a plant care kit, I would definitely recommend We the Wild, especially their fertilizer. Their fertilizer, you can definitely see a lot of growth when you use it for your plants. This is a Peperomia guinea that I had before. I ended up just not watering it for an entire month, and we already know what happens. It ended up going to plant heaven, but what a beautiful plant. If you give that a lot of light, it's going to give you even better pinks and cream variegation. But this is the Protect neem oil spray. It does have a nice scent to it as compared to regular neem oil. I would recommend that as well. It makes your plants leaves shiny, and it's just such a good brand. And then over here, these are worm castings. This is the enriched form. I actually use that to mix into my soil as well. It definitely gives it some more like natural microbial benefits for the plant. And then over here, this is my first time seeing this. This is the Orchid Care Essential Kit. I only have one Philodendron orchid, but if I were to get more orchids, I may end up just buying this because I don't know, there is a certain appeal about these Philodendron orchids. And again, my family being from the Philippines, I just kind of reminisce how easy orchids would grow there. Now, this is one plant that I may ask around to see if I can purchase. This is a full planter of different types of cuttings of Epipremnum aureum, pothos plants, Scindapsus, Philodendron, all of that. And I definitely would love that. That is such a cool looking planter of just mixed plants. I may ask around to see if I can purchase that because I would totally do it. I would even purchase it for a premium because those are basically rooted propagations put out in a planter. And that's really what I want to do with a lot of my pothos plants is I want to take several cuttings and do like a hanging basket or a planter of mixed planters for a pothos. And then this is exactly the philodendron, not the philodendron, I'm sorry, variegated Philodendron orchid that I have. You can see that there is a little bit of sun stressing. You can see that the edges of the leaves have more of like a red border around it, but that is the exact orchid that I have in my home. It actually sits on my dining room table and it's doing well. It's currently not in bloom, but it has done very well for me. And then over here is a Dracaena Song of India. Now, this is a very finicky plant if you cannot give it a lot of bright light. It definitely needs a lot of light. Now, when I was vacationing in the Philippines, and let's see how much this costs right here. That is for $400.50. I mean, I would say that is a pretty good price considering how large it is. If anybody watches the YouTuber Benji, Benji's Plants, he has one in his living room, and I would like to have something like that, but I just don't have enough light for it to really sustain its foliage. Now over here, we have some more planters. Again, this is a Philodendron Columbia that's already planted. You can see right here, this is for $39.50. And then we have another Philodendron Silver Sword that is also potted up. I do love the look of a Philodendron Silver Sword because that silver foliage is nice. And can you see how massive this Alocasia Saran is? I've seen the smaller versions, but you can see that they have a couple of babies coming out as well. That one I believe is for $50, and that is not a bad price at all. So if you want a statement piece, you can definitely get that. And then over here we've got a Peperomia Golden. It's got a nice variegated plant. Now this one also is another plant that I ended up sending to Plant Heaven only for $7.75. I actually think a lot of their peperomias in this size is only for $7.75. We're definitely going to take a look at that plant foldies. And then right over here is another 6-inch planter of an Epipremnum aureum Manjula pothos, $32.50. That's actually a really good deal considering you can't really find sizes of Manjula pothos, and I mean the variegation is stunning. So if you are in the hunt for a Manjula pothos, definitely make it out to Green Acres. And then you can see over here, I don't know if this is a Philodendron gloriosa because it looks like it is like crawling, or is it a Philodendron Columbia? I don't know if a Philodendron Columbia also likes to crawl, but you notice how it's going across, and that one is for $87.50. But look at how massive the leaves are. I would love something like that in my home, but I don't have the space. And that's the thing, plant foldies, whenever you're buying plants like this, for instance, this is just a whole table of different types of Philodendron, mostly Philodendron gloriosa, and also Philodendron Pink Princess. You have to think that these plants will eventually size up, so you have to plan for how much space you have in your home. Like for me, I have a couple of Monstera deliciosas. I've also got a lot of Monstera Thai constellations, Monstera albos, and so I have to figure out what I'm going to do once they actually size up. If I'm fortunate enough to actually get them to maturity, I do have one Monstera Thai constellation that is about 4 feet tall, and the leaves are about 2 to 3 feet wide. So when I do my plant home tour, which all of you guys are waiting for me to do, you will see some of those plants. But this one right here, it's actually a pretty decent looking Philodendron Pink Princess. Not really highly variegated, but it still looks really nice. I like the dark foliage. And then over here for $32.50 is a Philodendron White Wizard. So Honestly, I don't know what the difference is between a Philodendron White Princess, Philodendron White Knight, and a Philodendron White Wizard. So if you are a plant foldie that is pretty good about identifying them, please leave it in the comments. I really want to learn from you. And that's the thing, again, plant foldies, is the reason why I like to do these daily plant shopping videos. Number one, it's always nice to just congregate and chat on the actual live premiere chats. Number two, just a community that we built the last half a year that I've been doing this on a daily basis. It's just fun. And then just number three, the amount of knowledge I've learned on a daily basis. Like, I literally go into my comments section so I can actually see what you guys are writing. And then obviously, for me to be able to just talk to you guys, to utilize my plant shopping videos or my nursery tours just to talk and not really have a script, you know, it's just exciting because I utilize this as more of like a personal blog. And then, you know, plant foldies like this, I like being able to show you different types of plant products. Like, this is soils. So they have leca balls, and then they have more of these chunky perlite balls. And that's the thing, right? A lot of our soils, a lot of what our plants like, or at least what I've read and seen, is they prefer to have more fast draining soils. And what better yet to get fast draining soils when you start mixing leca balls, perlite, pumice, lava rock, what else? Charcoal, all of that. And these are things that you can purchase at Green Acres. Now over here, we're gonna go to this table. I love the planters, the modern planters they have, and then look at how massive this Dracaena Dorado is. So you know that 6-inch planter that you would see at like Walmart, that is potential size of what the Dracaena would look like when it grows to maturity. And then you can see beautiful contemporary planters that they have, and then they have a full table of mixes of like Hoya. So this one is a Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen. This one is a Hoya Macrophylla. This is for $17.50. So for all of my Hoya heads, or for those that love Hoyas, you can definitely go to Green Acres and check it out. And then you can see that they also have the friendship plant, or another Polea. That one's more of the textured form that you would see as an Exotic Angels Costa Farms plant. And then this is also a Polea peperomoides. That one's for $9.75. And then we also have this peperomia right here for $9.75. So it looks a little bit different than the peperomia golden. This one has a little bit more splotchiness about it, but needless to say, it's still a beautiful peperomia. I would totally purchase it. I may end up purchasing it. I just have to get my plant room together. And this time I'm not going to neglect my plant room, because literally my plant room is plant heaven right now. So a lot of the plants in there are just, in plant heaven, let's just put it that way. Over here, we've got a variegated Hoya compacta. And the thing about Hoya compacta, that's not a bad price at all, $9.75. Typically, you'll see people selling this for like $18. Actually, it's $13.50, sorry. But that's not a bad starter plant at all for a Hoya compacta, variegata. And then we all have a bunch of other like 2-inch starter planters. I believe these plants are for like $3.99, somewhere around that range. So they're what you would call terrarium plants. This one is a variegated Hoya carrii for $4.50, just one leaf. But you can see here we've got another Ficus lyrata tree. Really like the look of that as well. And then over here we have some more Hoyas. We've got some more starter plants. So we've got an array of Rex begonia, Tradescantias of different types. We've got some Aralias over here, some prayer plants or Maranthas, and we also have some more Peperomia obtusifolias. We also have this Peperomia obtusifolia right here for $9.75. Now here's the thing, this is more of that green on green variegation, but if you give it a lot of bright light, that green on green becomes more of a cream or white variegation. I really like the look of this plant. I love the waxy look about it. It almost reminds me of a Hoya, and it's just an easy to care for plant. Basic plant to some people, but for me, it brings me a lot of joy. And then over here, we've got a Hoya Publique Splash, beautiful plant as well. And you can see this is the one that likes to be on trellises and just wrap around something. It wants to like crawl on something, but And needless to say, beautiful Hoya. And then we also have another large Alocasia right here. That one is for $50. And then we have a whole table of Alocasia. So we're going to take a look at some of these Alocasia. So this one is an Alocasia Sonata for $32.50. And what's exciting is I didn't realize until somebody told me, but this is another Alocasia that is originally from the Philippines. So again, super proud and excited to see that these plants have made it to North Dallas in McKinney, in Melissa, Texas. And then over here, Plant Folies is an Alocasia Regal Shield, just a small variety. Now, obviously, you can find this at a big box store, but this one is for $9.75. Now, I love to take care of Alocasia, but what I've done a little bit of research, I've noticed that people have better success growing Alocasia. Like I have this one right here, for instance, a variegated Mickey Mouse Alocasia. People have better success growing them in pond or semi-hydroponics, like Leca. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna see if that's gonna work for me. The only other thing that I do to grow Alocasia is literally when they're not doing well, I just take them outside and they tend to bounce back. Now over here is Alocasia Silver Dragon for $27.50. I recently acquired another Trending Tropicals of one because my other one passed away and went to Plant Heaven, and I intend to convert that alongside with my Alocasia Jacqueline to semi-hydroponics. Now over here we have another Alocasia. This one is an Alocasia Poly. Of all the Alocasias I picked up, that Alocasia Poly is probably the most finicky in terms of getting spider mites. And then you can see over here we've got a Alocasia Pink Dragon. Love the pink stems on it. With all of these Alocasias, you can see right here that is a huge Alocasia Ciron. And then we also have an Alocasia Cuprea. So I actually think that this is a beautiful Alocasia for $20. And the leaves actually can get fairly large. I've seen a variegated form of this and it is absolutely stunning. We've also got an Alocasia Milo Light. These were actually sold at Walmart as well, and the leaves get larger and they get super leathery. Like when you touch it, it literally feels like a leather, and it's a super thick leaf. And then as I spin around here, we have some more Alocasias, obviously some more Alocasia Cupreas. Love the purple underside, by the way, of the Alocasia Cuprea. And these Alocasia Cuprea actually look a little bit more stable, less fragile. Typically when I see them at like Walmart or a big box store, they look like they're on the brink of going to Plant Heaven. So it's nice to see a nice healthy looking Alocasia. And then you can see that this table still has more Alocasia to pick from. We have some Alocasia, just regular California. Alocasia right here, that's a common one you will find at a big box store. And then we also have that variegated Alocasia Mickey Mouse. We have one Alocasia Jacqueline, and that is probably one of the more challenging Alocasias to grow. Beautiful nonetheless. And then we have some more Alocasia Sonata right over here. I love the texture of this, and I definitely want to purchase one of these. I have one that looks similar from Indonesia. So we'll see what that all looks like. But as you can see, Plant Foldies, several plants, more plants right here. Look at how massive these tables are. And this table actually has a lot of just Dracaena plants, as well as this Dracaena Florida Beauty. Now here's the thing about Dracaena Florida Beauty. I love it, $5.75. It is easy to find, but it is not an easy to care for plant. Most Dracaena are. This one is a little bit less the plant care tips. They need more light and they definitely need more water. Now this one is for $15.50, and I actually like the look of this particular Dracaena. It's probably one that I will eventually come back to. It's got a really nice silver foliage on it, and when you talk about silver foliage, here is another Monstera celtibicana for $20. I would actually go with the one that's already on a totem pole and moss pole. And then we have a silver midrium, medium midrium. These are actually plants you don't quite see often either, but this is a plant that has to be grown on a totem pole for it to really get larger leaves, and it needs a lot of light. Otherwise, it will just shoot runners if it's not on a pole and it doesn't get light. This one is a Philodendron Goldii. That's another, not a bad price for $9.75. $3.75. And then you can see right here, this might be a Philodendron Goldii as well, the mature form. So the thing that I just picked up, that plant, will eventually get to that size. Correct me if I'm wrong, plant foldies, but I believe that is the actual plant. And then we have a 6-inch basket of Scindapsus jade. Scindapsus jade for $27.50. And what's interesting is the Scindapsus jade, or the green version of a Scindapsus, is actually more uncommon than the silver form. I'm going to keep walking over here and just showing you some more easy to care for, low light tolerant. And I repeat, low light tolerant. It doesn't mean that they will do well in low light conditions, but they can survive. We've got some ZZ plants here, and we have a bunch of Sansevieria fasciatas right over here. You can see they have many different varieties. If you are a beginner to house plants or indoor plants, I would recommend growing one of these. They're readily available. You can find them at big box stores, and they have different types of Sansevieria or snake plants. I did want to show you, these are plants that are on clearance. You can see that they've chopped up the browning. This is for $18, but look at how beautiful that pink color is. It doesn't even look real. It looks like somebody spray painted it with pink spray paint. And then we're going to pan away into this little table here. Now this is my favorite Sansevieria. This is a snake plant starfish. It's probably the easiest because, I don't know, it just hasn't really given me any troubles. And then we have some more large foliage plants here. So we've got yucca plants, dracaenas, and we also have some hanging baskets of Boston fern. I don't really find fern interesting, but for those that really like it, they've got a whole table of different ferns as well as calatheas. And you know how I feel about calatheas. Calatheas, like this one right here, this Calathea ruspicta, beautiful color. Like, I wanted to pick it up. $13.50, but that is a potential $13.50 you could lose, because these plants, for some reason, do not do well for me long term. They end up getting spider mites. They end up needing more water than I can actually give them. Like, I mean, over here, that is a Calathea lancifolia. We've got larger Calatheas here. Now we have a Stromanthe triostar. That's not a bad plant to grow. And then we also have a Begonia maculata. So for me, begonias are a hit or miss. I tend to do well with the angel wing begonias. So I have one actually growing in my garage that I need to bring indoors. But we'll see, if I'll be able to grow some of these begonias. You can see that they also have spider plants that already have some babies hanging. And that is another plant I intend to get as well. I just think it would make such a good little hanging basket. And then we have a bunch of Ficus elasticas, or rubber tree plants, small forms. And then we also have a Pachira aquatica. That's a pretty large money tree plant. And then we have a whole table of Dieffenbachias and Aglaonemas. They look very similar, but the care tips are a little bit different. Now this is an Aglaonema Silver Bay. That one is only for $40, and that is a massive plant, as well as this Aglaonema. This one is either an Aglaonema White Rain or Golden Bay. I think it's White Rain because it does have white stems. Again, that is only for $40. That is not a bad price at all. And again, plant foldies, I have grown to like Aglaonemas again. I kind of fell out of love with Aglaonemas because, and I'm really the one to be blamed for it. I had a bunch of Aglaonemas I imported from Indonesia, and I ended up not watering them, not taking care of them, and they all ended up like really declining in health. And so I gave up on Aglaonemas. But seeing these beautiful Aglaonemas, I really want to come back and collect them and do better. And when I say do better, I want to do better in just making sure I have a better routine. I have been watering the majority of my plants at least once or twice a week. Some of my plants that require more water, I have kind of just downsized and not put them in my collection. But you can see here another favorite of mine. This is an Aglaonema BJ Friedman. I have one that I am trying to rehabilitate just because I have really neglected it. And care tips for Aglaonemas, like this one right here, I need to add into my collection. I actually bought this specific Aglaonema, and it is outside right now trying to rehabilitate because it got super leggy. I just didn't water it as much, but look at how beautiful that silver foliage is. It almost looks like foil, and it's only for $40. $40 for a beautiful aglaonema. Like literally I could probably buy $40 specimens and be super happy, because aglaonemas in general, like the one right over there, I don't know what that plant ID is for that aglaonema, but it is another easy to care for plant. I also have more Syngoniums right over here. Now this is just a Syngonium pink or neon robusta for $7.75. That is another species of plants that I have started to come back to, just because although Syngoniums are easy to care for, like this one's super full, I would actually buy this one just because there's so many plants already. The thing about Syngoniums is they can be fussy when you do not water them consistently, and that was really what happened. So a lot of my Syngoniums ended up getting leggy, ended up losing a lot of leaves, but I have chopped them back down. And then this one is for $22.50. I don't know what particular aglaonema this is. But again, plant foldies, if you are not into aglaonemas, I would highly recommend them because it's such an underrated plant. I would say even Syngoniums. I would even call this whole table underrated, even Dieffenbachias. You know, as much as I am a little bit weary about Dieffenbachias, I would consider bringing them in my collection. And like, look at how stunning this aglaonema is. And while they look similar, they have different types of patterns. And I will say aglaonema can tolerate lower light conditions. So if you don't have the best lighting, you can still grow aglaonema. They would just grow extremely slow. They're already extremely slow growers, but that's one plant you can grow. Now over here is a Dieffenbachia sublime, a beautiful Dieffenbachia. I love that light green tone it has, but with all of those Dieffenbachias, they need a lot of bright light. Like you can see here is a rare Dieffenbachia. This is a Dieffenbachia Cool Beauty, $27.50. I may end up buying this one because the one I bought for $16.99, a Calsa Farms Trending Tropical, I ended up underwatering it to where it really lost a lot of its leaves. I'm trying to rehabilitate it outside, so we'll see. And then this is only for $15. This is a Homolemena, and I said it correctly. Homolemena Shelby, beautiful plant as well. It doesn't look like the typical Homolemena, but needless to say, it's one that has some beautiful texture on the leaves. So plant foldies, as you can see here, they've got a whole table of Dieffenbachia and aglaonema. And it's interesting because Dieffenbachia and aglaonema look similar, except they're on the opposite sides of the spectrum in terms of lighting conditions. Aglaonema can tolerate lower light conditions. Dieffenbachia cannot. Aglaonema can be underwater. Dieffenbachia cannot. And then over here is actually one plant I was thinking of getting, and this is for $55. This is a Piper plant, and I love the speckling, the pink speckling on it. It's already on a trellis, so that's super cool. I've heard that Piper plants are very challenging to actually get online to ship. They don't ship well. So, you know, being able to see this at a local nursery like Green Acres is awesome. And then also if you want coffee, $9.75. This is just a green coffee plant. Love the texture of this plant as well. That is another plant that I was thinking of getting and maybe even putting in like a nice cute coffee mug as a planter. I know it sounds kind of like cheesy, silly, but you know, sometimes I come up with those ideas. But anyways, plant foldies, what have you thought about, you know, as I've shown you all of these plants at Green Acres? I mean, look at it over here. This is another Florida green hanging basket. And there it is only for, let's see, 32 something. And you already have so many, you know, nodes that you can cut. You can chop this up and have several Florida green plants. And those actually root very easily. I love the fact that they have a hanging basket of that. Now that one prefers to climb up a pole. You can see we've got a China doll plant here. The thing about China doll plant is that's $22.50. You have to stay on top of the watering. Like I ended up making this plant go to plant heaven very quickly because I did not water it. And maybe sometimes, you know, we avoid plant chores because we get discouraged. That's literally me. Like when I start seeing my plants dying, I just kind of like give up. And then over here is an Aglaonema Red Siam or Siam Aurora or Aglaonema Creta. Beautiful plant. And then again, we have another Syngonium here for only $7.75. So there are a lot of plants you can just come over and buy several different types. I'm thinking when I go back and actually want to spend some money, I'm going to buy a bunch of Philodendron. I'm probably going to go ahead and collect some more Syngoniums, and I'm definitely going to go splurge on some Aglaonemas. Now over here, plant foldies, if you want instant gratification on monsteras, large form monsteras, those are available. I believe those are for $75 or somewhere around that range. But as you can see, plant foldies, we are in a paradise out in North Dallas. Again, Green Acres, this is the Melissa, Texas location. It has just recently opened and they are continuing to bring not only rare and uncommon plants, but you have plants that are common. There's so many supplies that you can buy here. The staff is super friendly. So if you live in Dallas and you've never been here, definitely come out. Let them know you're a plant foldy. Let them know you watch Grow Folds YouTube, and just say hi to Parker and the team there. I will also shout out Paige, who actually is over the Instagram and the social media and advertising. Really appreciate that I've been able to connect with you. I also appreciate the staff for just being so open about me filming and really appreciating my work, because why not? Like, we definitely need to get Green Acres more exposure. I think doing long form content really gives you guys an option to see what plants they have. It's as if you're actually walking around. Like, who wouldn't want to buy a variegated Alocasia Frydek? Like, I definitely would. I just need to spend, save a little bit more money. Plant con's around the corner, but despite having plant con around the corner, I still have this nursery as a place where I can buy this. I'm thinking I'm gonna buy this actually this weekend. I'm off. Would you buy this philodendron Moonlight for only $50? That's such a large philodendron. It's absolutely stunning. I think it would just literally light up a room. And so that's something I will definitely come back to. Hopefully it's still there. If it's not, hopefully it makes it to a good home. And look at how stunning this live wall is right over here. Really love the look of that. I hope you plant foldies have really enjoyed just watching and looking at all of these plants. It's a little different from my typical big box or plant shopping videos, but you already know I like to mix it up. You are definitely going to see more plants from me, more plant content, more personalized plant content. Who knows, I might do a face reveal as well, but plant foldies, as you can see, I'm just doing a little bit more of a walkthrough on some of their rare and uncommon plants. I would definitely go here for the rare and uncommon plants. I feel like they're priced well enough, and then you don't actually have to worry about ordering them online or searching them, especially that Philodendron Tortum, really good sizes for that. And then also that Epipremnum pinnata marble for $200, but it is such a large plant already, and it's already on a pole. So plant foldies, I hope that you have enjoyed today's video for Green Acres out in Melissa, Texas. I'm gonna have to visit the Irving location, but this one is a lot closer to me. It's only like a 20-minute drive for where I'm based at. So as always, if you like this video, please, and I say please make sure you are hitting that like button for me. I would really appreciate it. With only, I think, 7 more subscribers needed to make 10,000 or something of that nature, I'm so excited to see if we can get another 10,000 in the next 6 months. But as always, thank you so much for hitting that like button. Leave many comments, a lot of comments. I would love to see comments from everybody, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Grow Folds. This is Richie, and I will definitely have a brand new video for you tomorrow. Bye.